Hi, I'm Tom Shue, and today we're going to talk about vignettes. Vignettes are a really important part of photography because they help you direct your viewer's eye to your subject. In this case, it's this woman using a nice Hasselblad camera. Um, but if you can see these bright edges on this photograph, it's kind of got your eye going all over the place. So how we can control our viewer is through vignettes. Well, like Photoshop and everything in Photoshop, there's about a million ways to do anything. So I'm going to show you all the ways I know how to make vignettes. Some are going to give you automated controls, and some are going to be more manual. So let's get started. First, we're going to create a new layer by clicking this icon, and we're going to fill this with 50% gray. Okay, how do you do that? Well, you can use a shortcut to do that. You're going to go through the fill command. You can go through edit and fill, or you can hit some shortcuts. Okay, on Windows, it's Shift Backspace. On Mac, it's Shift Delete. So we're going to hit Shift Backspace, and you're going to have a drop-down menu that's normally foreground color. You just hit this and go to 50% gray, and you click OK. And the reason why we're going to 50% gray is when you go to the overlay mode, that gray becomes transparent. It's not white and it's not black. White will get brighter, black will get darker. 50% gray is a neutral color, so you just see through it. So what we'll do now is we'll go in, we'll grab us a brush. We're going to make it a soft brush. So as far as hardness is concerned, if you hold down the Control key and the Alt key, and that's the Command key and Option key on the Mac, and you use your right mouse button and you move up and down, you can control the hardness. If you don't want to do it that way, you can grab your brush and come over here and adjust the hardness. So we'll set our hardness to 0. Okay, with the black brush, we'll drag our opacity somewhere around 20% or so. And with the soft edge portion of the brush, we're just going to paint. Remember, we're on overlay mode. We're just going to paint in around the edges to darken our edges. Might need to come up here a little bit. Okay. And we'll put in a vignette. Okay. So if we look at before and after, a quick tip: to hide a layer, you click the icon. But if you had multiple layers and you want to hide them all, if you hit the Alt key, and that's the Option key on Mac, on the bottom one, you can shut down all the layers. So essentially, you can get a before and after. So let's go ahead and delete these other layers, except this one. We need to create this layer. Okay, so we're going to hide this one. So that's one way to do a vignette. Another way to do a vignette that's more automated is to use the lens correction filter inside Photoshop. So we'll do the same thing here. We're going to fill this frame with 80% gray, and again, that is Shift Backspace on Mac and it's Shift Backspace on Windows and Shift Delete on Mac. We're going to fill this with 50% gray. Okay, we're going to change the blend mode to overlay. Okay, and now we're going to go here, filter lens correction. Now this is kind of a cool filter. You can download lens profiles and you can do correction, but we're not interested in that right now. We're going to come over here to the custom tab, and you'll see right here we have vignette controls. If you have your preview selected, you can see that I can add a vignette and I can control the center point of that vignette by manipulating the midpoint. So if I just want to go just at the corners, like a four corner burn, like we used to do in the film days, used to burn the corners on all of your prints in the four corners. So that's where you would do that. So we'll just grab this and we'll just apply, this amount of vignette. Okay, click OK. Let it think for a second. And now we've created a vignette. If you don't like the amount that it's there, you can grab your opacity slider and you can take some away. On this image, it's pretty bright. But as you can see, that just that little bit of darkening around the edges helps you. If you close your eyes and open them, you go directly to the subject. Whereas if we close our eyes and open them, we kind of wander the frame in this case. Okay, so let's hide this layer. The next way we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. This time we're going to use a shortcut to create our new layer. And on Windows, it's Control Shift N as in Nancy, or N as in new. And on Mac, that is Command Shift N, and you'll get this. This dialog allows you to go ahead and change the blend mode. Since I know the blend mode is going to be soft light, okay, in this case, we'll just go to soft light. We click OK. Now what I'm going to do, with soft light selected, I'm going to grab a black brush. I'll start with my opacity at 100% because I'll just control it over here. And I'm just going to paint in with a black brush around the edges. Okay, so that's a manual way to make a vignette, and then I'll control the vignette by just backing off the opacity. You see that I've got some on her on her skin and down here, so let's just increase that. In order to control where it is and where it isn't, well, a quick way to do it is just click your layer mask icon, and since it's filled with white, we need to paint the opposite. We're already painting with black, so if we click our layer mask and I come in here and paint with black, I can remove vignette wherever I want. Okay, it's just like any other layer mask. Alright, so let's hide that layer. Let's create one more vignette. So we'll start with, this is one I like a lot. I use this a lot. So we'll grab our marquee selection tool and we're just going to draw a box. Okay, and we don't want a square box. We want a box that's going to be rounded. So we're going to have to modify this box. So we go to select Refine Edge. Okay, in the Refine Edge dialog box, we're going to grab this feather and we're just going to pull it over. And we'll pull it over pretty far till we get these nice rounded corners. Not circular corners, just rounded a little bit. Somewhere right about there. And we can also control how far it comes into the image. We can shift our edge out a little bit. Okay. And if we don't have the same distance top and bottom, that's not a problem. I'm going to shift the edge just a little bit more. Okay. We're going to click OK. And now with the arrow key, I'm just going to tab down. Okay, so now that I've made this selection, I need to invert it. Because if I try to use the curves tool, is what we're going to do, what's going to happen is it's going to darken just the inside edges. We want to darken the outside edges, so we need to invert the selection. To do that, that's Control-Shift-I or Command-Shift-I on a Mac to invert the selection. Now what we'll do is we'll make sure we're on one of these layers. Okay, we're going to grab our curves tool. We'll grab curves, curves, and now we'll just grab right here in the center, and now we can create a vignette like that. This is the way I prefer to make vignettes most of the time, because it gives me an area with a mask already built in that I can remove that vignette off my subject or any place that I don't like it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just click on the mask, grab my brush tool. Now we're going to be painting in black because that is what is hiding inside of this area. It's not allowing any of the darkening to take place from the curves. And I'm just going to come in, I'm going to paint on my subject's arm. And I'm going to maybe take a little bit off of her clothes and off of her camera, stuff like this. Maybe a little bit off of her hair if we've got into that area at all. Okay. If you ever want to know where exactly you've applied an effect, if you come up with this selected and you just click on the backslash key, it will show you your mask. Okay, that's just a quick tip. Hit the backslash key again to get rid of the mask, and there we've created a vignette. So here I have showed you 4 ways to create vignettes. The first one, the second one, this was with the lens correction. This is actually painting on that 50% gray background in overlay. This one here is with soft light. This is probably the fastest and easiest way to manually create a vignette. And then one of my favorite ways is with the curves tool. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And I really appreciate you guys spending time on my blog today. Until next time, we will see you soon.